Hey, welcome to the series of everything you need to know about Python in simplest possible way. In the series of pattern printing, so far we have seen so many patterns. In this video, we will see how we can actually print this particular pattern. So if you could carefully observe this particular pattern, on each diagonal, a specific number is repeating. So in this first diagonal, we are having 1. The second diagonal, we are having 2. In the third diagonal, we are having 3, like that on each diagonal we are having a specific value. So now we will see how we can actually print this pattern in order to get these numbers on each diagonal. So we know we cannot print these particular values in terms of diagonals, but we can actually print the values in terms of rows. So now we will take this pattern and divide this pattern into two different patterns, which is one is this above pattern and this below pattern, and by printing those patterns and combining those of patterns, we will get the whole patterns in terms of diagonals. So let us go ahead and see how we can do that. As we have confirmed that first we will print this above pattern, we will have 5 rows in this pattern. For that I will take a variable rows and I will assign with 5, because we have 5 rows, right? Row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5. So for that, I am taking variable rows as 5. Later, I will take a spaces variable, and why I am taking the spaces variable is because if you observe this pattern, before these numbers, we are having these spaces, and we need to print these spaces in order to get these particular numbers exactly like this. For that reason, I am taking the variable as spaces, and I will assign with rows minus 1, because in this first row, out of these all positions, one position is occupied this particular number and the remaining positions are spaces. For that reason, I am mentioning rows minus 1 here. So later what I will do is that in order to generate this many number of rows, I will use a loop here. So for I in range, now we need to generate a range of values. So the question is, what are the range of values that we are going to generate here? So out of this particular pattern, we need to confirm a particular values. So based on that particular values, we will generate these particular rows here. For that, I am taking this diagonal, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. By using this diagonal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as a base, we will print these particular values, all values here. For that reason, I will start with 1 and go till the value of rows plus 1 in order to generate this particular diagonal values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So later what I will do is that just to know what values we are having in I will print the value I in this for loop. So we can see we are having the exact values of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So by observing these values and by observing this particular pattern, we can come to a conclusion that on every single row, we are starting with 1 and going till the value of I here. We are starting with 1 going till the value of I in the second row, which is 2. The third row, we are starting with 1 and going till the value of I, which is 3 here. Like that, every single row starting with value 1 and going till the value of I, that is what we are having in particular I here. So for that, as these statements every single row is repeating, we will use a for loop inside of this for loop. So for k in range, so as we have discussed, these numbers are starting with 1 going till the value of I will use the range exactly same as like that. Start with 1, go till the value of I plus 1. So by mentioning I plus 1, it will stop at the value I. So later in this for loop, what I will do is that instead of printing this particular I value, I will print the value j here. Now if I execute this, so we can able to get the result as 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are the exact values that we are having in this above pattern. So we have got the values. The only thing we need to do here is that we need to arrange those values so that we can able to get the whole pattern. So in order to arrange those values, I will use an end parameter with a space here. So by default, this print having this end parameter with new line so that we are getting these values in the new line. If I execute this, we can able to get every value in the new lines. So we need to get these values like this as and when the one starting and going till the value of I, it need to go to the new line. So for that reason, after completion of this inner for loop, I will mention a print statement here. So it will go and stop and get a new line after completion of this inner for loop. So now if I execute this, so we can get the values in the new line. So later what I need to do is that I need to print these spaces before actually printing these values. So for that, as and when I enter into this for loop, I will print spaces here. Print, I will use space and I will multiply this spaces variable because I am using this spaces variable in order to keep track of these spaces. So later what I will do is that I am mentioning this end parameter with nothing. So by default, this end parameter has new line, it will give new line. So I don't want any new line. For that reason, I am mentioning nothing. So one more thing you need to observe is that on each row, the spaces value are keep reducing. For that reason, as and when this inner for loop completes its execution, I need to reduce those spaces variable. So for that, I am using spaces minus equal to 1. It will keep reduce the value of spaces on each iteration. So now if I execute this, so we can able to get the exact pattern that what we are having here. So now we need to generate this particular below pattern. So let us go ahead and do that. So for that, we will follow similar procedure what we have followed for the above pattern. So in order to generate these many number of rows that we are having, I will use a for loop for k in range. So we need to generate a range of values. So the question is, what are the range of values? So guess. So I hope you have guessed it correctly. We need to take this diagonal as a base and we need to go till the value 5. So first we focus on this particular base values which is 2, 3, 4, 5. In order to get these values, I will start this range with 2 and go till the value of rows plus 1. So I will stop with rows. So in this what I will do is that just to print and know the value of k here. So as we have expected, we have got 2, 3, 4, 5. So now the only thing we need to do is that if we could compare this pattern, we are starting with k value and going till the value of 5 here. So every single line is starting with k which is here and going till the value of 5. So if you could compare that, if you could do some procedure to print that, we can actually get the whole values. So for that, I will use one more for loop here because every single line is following the same procedure, right? Starting with k and going till the value of 5. These are repeating. For that reason, we will use a loop which is for loop for L in range. So range. So as we have known, it need to start with value k here and go till the value of 5. For that reason, I will mention k and rows plus 1. So it will start with k and go till the value of rows plus 1. In this for loop, what I will do is that instead of printing this value k, I will print the value l here. So now if I execute this, we can able to get the values which are 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, and 5. At last we are having 5. So we have got the values. The only thing we need to do is that we need to arrange that. So as like we have arranged in the above pattern, we will similarly arrange here also. I am using this end as new line character. I am mentioning a print statement to get the values in the line. If I execute this, we can able to get something like this. So as like in the above pattern, we are having spaces here. We need to print those spaces in order to get the pattern exactly. For that reason, as and when I enter into this outer for loop, I will print them. So spaces multiplied with spaces, so we will get the spaces there. So I am mentioning this end as nothing. So on each iteration, on every single row, the spaces are increased, right? So you can observe in this pattern. So for that, what I need to do is that I will increase these spaces on every single line here, on every single iteration. If I execute this, we have got some problem here. We are not getting spaces here in this first row, and we are also not getting spaces in the second row. So like that, we are not getting the exact pattern. So the reason is that we are using the spaces variable for both above pattern and both below pattern. That is not the problem. The values that is present in the spaces is problem. So we will know by printing them what values we are having the spaces. So if I execute this, we are having the value in spaces as -1. Because of that reason, it is not printing a single space. It is not also printing space. Here it is starting with a single space and increasing on each iteration. So the difference between -1 and a single space, so we need a single space, right? By starting with that pattern. So the difference is 2 here, -1 to 0 and 0 to 1. So for that, we need to increase these spaces after completion of this above pattern, and we need to get that. So for that, I will use plus equal to 2, so that we will increase spaces value with 2. So now if I execute this, we can able to get the exact pattern, that is what we have expected above. The first diagonal we are having 1, in the second diagonal we are having 2, third diagonal we are having 4, and like that we are having the values in every single diagonal what we have expected in the above pattern. So now I hope you can able to understand this logic in order to generate this particular pattern. So if you got any confusion in the process, I sincerely suggest you to watch the video carefully once again, so that you can understand it clearly. So now what we will do is that we will dynamically take input of these rows and print the pattern accordingly. So for that, I am asking user to enter rows here. So now if I execute this, so it was asking to enter rows. If I give the value, let's say 6 here, so we can get the value starting with 1 in this diagonal and going till the value of 6. So now if I execute with 9 here, so still we can able to get the values exactly like this. So now I hope you have found this video interesting, and I hope you have understood the logic to generate this pattern. If that is true, hit the like button. In the next video, we will see how we can actually generate this particular pattern. So the difference between this pattern and this pattern is that here we are starting with 1 and in the first diagonal and going till the value of whichever the given value here. So but in this pattern, we are coming in the reverse direction, which is starting in the reverse diagonal and going till the value of 5. So later we will dynamically take whatever the value that is given by the user. So in the next video, we will see how we can actually print this particular pattern. So to stay updated, subscribe to this channel and turn on the notifications to all, so that whenever I upload any video, you will get the notification. So thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.